Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Wrong priorities. That is the easiest way to describe this misguided bill that you've brought before us today. And frankly, it's the best way to describe your priorities throughout the 16 months that you've been in charge in, this state legislature. Corporations and big businesses are the real winners in this bill, not middle-class Minnesotans, and that is the wrong priority. And more importantly, your proposal is the wrong way to grow jobs, to grow our economy, and ultimately strengthen Minnesota. It hasn't worked. For 10 years, 30 years, you've been proclaiming this is the answer, and it hasn't worked. You want to keep cutting taxes for big corporations with one hand, while you're raising property taxes, raising tuition, and raising health care costs on the rest of Minnesota. That's what you're doing in this bill, and that's what you've done for 16 months. You just don't get it. You take money out of the pockets of middle-class Minnesotans. You're taking money out of Minnesota's economy. That's how our economy works. When people have money in their pockets, they can spend it and support all those businesses you want to claim to support. The fact of the matter is you've been squeezing middle-class Minnesotans over and over and over by the policies you've been pushing through for the last 16 months. It's the same old, and it's not going to create jobs in Minnesota, and it's certainly not going to build a better Minnesota. You are choosing in this bill to put corporate tax cuts ahead of paying back our kids. That's the actual fact. That's the dynamic going on in this bill. As you send that $200 million in tax giveaways to your corporate friends out the door, that's $200 million that's not going to go pay back the school shift. That's the actual fact. And you haven't come up with a plan to pay back the $2.4 billion school shift, the money that you owe our schools, and now you want to put corporations ahead of them. Is there anything, I think the people in Minnesota actually deserve an answer to this question. Is there anything that you would put ahead of corporations? Is there anything? Because I have not seen it in the 16 months that you've been in charge. Corporations are homeowners. You have sided with corporations after increasing property tax on homeowners, on farmers, on small businesses all across this state, and you don't seem to care. Corporations and farmers, I just mentioned that, and you talk about class warfare, Representative Gottwald. Well, you're the ones that took away the homestead credit and raised property taxes on lower income and middle-class Minnesotans. You're the ones that wanted to raid the renter's credit that would have increased property taxes on 300,000 Minnesotans who make less than $55,000 a year, including up to 70,000 seniors and people with disabilities. That's what I call class warfare. You're the ones that want to cut health care. You're the ones that cut higher education to the highest levels in the history of this state. You're the ones that want to cut our transportation options that allow people to get to work. That's what I call class warfare, Representative Gottwald. And you're the ones that attack Minnesotans' the rights of working people to better themselves over and over and over again. That has been your mantra in this body since day one. That is class warfare, Representative Gottwald. And I know you're smiling because you think the only class that you care about are big corporations. That's what you said on the House floor, and more power to you. At the end of the day, Representative Davids has called this a smoking hot tax bill. Well, it's smoking hot only because it's going to be burning a hole in our state budget. It's smoking hot only because it's going to be burning the middle class and farmers and small businesses all across this state. That's your smoking hot tax bill, Representative Davids. We should vote no on these misplaced priorities. Then we can see if we can find a way to actually work together to come up with something that's going to work for the state of Minnesota. Vote red.